Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's talk about CMMC. If you've ever felt completely tangled up in its complexity, well, you are definitely not alone and you're in the right place. Today, we're going to dive into a totally fresh way to conquer what is, for so many of us, a notoriously tricky subject. Let's jump right in. And wow, doesn't that just hit the nail on the head? This quote gets right to the very heart of the frustration with CMMC. You know the feeling, right? You read the controls and you think, okay, this seems pretty obvious, pretty simple. But then you try to actually apply them, and suddenly you're drowning in all these nuances and technicalities. It's a feeling pretty much everyone in this field knows well. And this slide just perfectly illustrates that disconnect. Over on the left, you've got the perception. CMMC is just a straightforward list of rules, a bunch of simple checkboxes you have to tick off. But on the right, well, that's the reality so many organizations run into. Incredibly confusing nuances that lead to really costly failures. And this is all happening in a super high-stakes environment where, let's be honest, getting it wrong is just not an option. So that leads us right into what we're calling the CMMC conundrum. In this first part, we're going to break down exactly why this framework, which looks so simple on paper, feels so overwhelmingly complex when you're actually in the trenches. Okay, so these are the big ones. These are the landmines that almost everyone steps on at some point. First step, misinterpreting those critical scoping rules. I mean, if you get this part wrong, your entire assessment is basically doomed from the start. Then you have people stumbling over those subtle but absolutely critical differences in the controls, where the devil is truly in the details. Oh, and of course, you've got the temptation of those quick fix certification scams, which promise you a shortcut but really just deliver a dead end. And finally, and this is a massive one, people completely underestimating just how intense and rigorous that final assessment process really is. But what if we could just shatter that old mold? Let's talk about a completely new approach, one that swaps out all that confusion and complexity for some genuine creativity and innovation. This is where things start to get really fun. 440? What on earth is that? Well, that is the number of short, engaging, and seriously informative videos in a new library that's designed to completely replace those dense, mind-numbing PDFs we've all had to struggle through. Just imagine every single complex topic broken down into a 5 to 7 minute lesson that you actually remember. And this whole new way of learning is built on 3 really important principles. First, it's all fact-based. This isn't just somebody's random interpretation. Everything is sourced directly from official DoD guidance. Second, it's designed to be demystified and engaging, using captivating graphics and real-world examples to make the concepts actually stick. And third, it's all about retention, not just memorization. You can get to any topic you need, whenever you need it, with just a single click. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, when we start looking at the specific tools this approach uses. Because this isn't just about watching a bunch of videos. It's a complete toolkit designed to help you decode CMMC complexity and get to a place of real mastery. So the first tool in the box is a pretty brilliant concept called mind over matter. The whole idea is to tackle the insane complexity of CMMC controls with a big dose of visual genius. Seriously, get ready for a totally unexpected approach here. They call it mind map mastery, so each complex control gets boiled down into a single, simple, and totally unforgettable image. Some of them are funny, some are just clever, but they are all designed to stick in your brain way better than a page of dry text ever could. And what's really powerful is that each visual is paired up with an expert dialogue that discusses real-world implementation and, more importantly, how to avoid those common pitfalls. All right, next up, we're going to shift our perspective entirely. This next tool brings a little bit of that Silicon Valley innovation into the world of compliance, and it forces us to look at CMMC through a completely new lens. It's called the different strokes method, and it flips the whole process on its head. Instead of starting with a control, you start with a piece of technology. So let's say you deploy a new VPN. Okay, which controls does that actually touch? How does bringing in encryption suddenly shift your entire compliance strategy? See, this way, you start to build a kind of threat-driven resilience that goes way beyond just checking off boxes on a list. It's a total game changer. And all of these tools are part of a massive library. You've got a whole series that unlocks the secrets of scoping, another one that unravels every single control with absolute precision. There's one that reveals control relationships to help you save time and money. And finally, a series that gives you the unvarnished truth about the assessment process so you can steer clear of those scams we talked about earlier. So, what does this all actually lead to? I mean, that's the crucial question, right? It's not just about learning a bunch of facts. It's about a fundamental transformation for anyone who has to work with CMMC. It's about making that leap from a constant state of confusion to one of genuine confidence. And this slide really is the perfect before and after picture. The before state is all about guesswork, just tedious, painful studying, and a constant high risk of failure. But the after state? That's about precision. It's about engaging learning that you actually enjoy, and it's about having that feeling of true mastery and readiness for whatever comes your way. That's the real goal here. And look, this isn't just for one type of person. This is designed for literally everyone inside the CMMC ecosystem. It doesn't matter if you're with an organization trying to get compliant, or you're a certified pro, an assessor, or a practitioner. Even if you're just starting out and trying to figure out what this whole thing is about, this approach is built from the ground up to give you an indispensable edge. All right, let's bring this all home. In our final section, we'll see how this all builds towards a new, much more powerful goal for your CMMC journey. This is your invitation to move beyond just checking a box. At the end of the day, this really captures the ultimate takeaway. This isn't just another training course. Think of it as your strategic accelerator. While everyone else is stuck on the ground, buried in those old textbooks, this is your fast-track pass to bypass all the confusion and go from simply understanding CMMC to truly mastering it. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. The goal of any compliance framework is, compliance. That's the baseline. But with the right tools and with the right mindset, you can aim for something so much higher. So why just aim for compliance when you can achieve confidence,